Going, folks. Yeah, I really wanted to stop that segment, but I just, it just keep popping up my head. And especially immigrant or migrant coming to a Western world, I realize that, there is no consequences for borrowing, being bad choices, long-term bad choices, borrowing money, or get into a debt, and to be FOMO, or as well with what is that word? Not only just FOMO, and as well with keeping up with the Jonas, right? And it is a very difficult, and especially now with social media, right? And obviously, whether you're not using mats or not mats, whatever, but they have that strong urge to have that nesting behavior. Must do it now, even though it's the wrong thing, whatever. But that's I don't know. Would I say the biological thing, or maybe this a modern day biological world? And all I can say is that they'll do anything to get onto this the debt bomb, and to obviously to show off their fake, real fake life, that distance away from reality. And what I'm saying is that, look up, buying a house, whatever, I understand that is keeping a nesting house. Unfortunately, in a country in the Western world, the people around the world is being flooded, is saturated, the market. Where once upon a time, my aunt, who used to buy a property in Preston back in year 2000, 200,000, now it's worth 1.4 million, whatever you guys name it. I know my parents, when first came to Australia, which is Melbourne, it was 18-19% interest rate. My dad, that particular time, that property the owner wanted to sell, I believe it was $87,000 in St Kilda. At the time, my dad was doing a corner milk bar shop. I could go on, I could blab on whatever I want, but the thing about those who went through hardship in their country, and see how, especially those who are Japan, I find that women in Japan are either a bit like my generation, a bit older, and they know what their parents has gone through, or themselves they witness what they've gone through. But even when you're a young generation and didn't really absorb the the recession, the depression, or whatever you guys call it, they don't buy into it and just playing fire. And the reason why I'm making this segment is because I've been hearing a lot to keep up with the Jonas, whether to be part of their friends, or to buy the certain postcodes or whatever. By all means, it's great if you look at the kids' future or the surroundings or whatever, how it is, but it has to fit the narrative. One of the areas that really gets me a lot, and I said that in your 30-40 years of your career life, your job can be located anywhere. And the biggest area is that, I want to work next to home. But you don't know which your next career is going to be, or you may have a career change or location change, whatever. And those who tend to buy closer to work, I understand in certain degree, but there should be some giveaway. So what happens if you lost your job, or got redundant, or you moved on with the career, or you don't like the field, whatever? And very short narrative. But being an immigrant, a migrant who works in a low skill jobs, and obviously they're not going to get sacked or whatever. You'd have to go through the corporate politics, PC culture, or job redundancy, or whatever how it is that you guys can name it. And then come to Australia, and then they're buying left, right, and center. And a man is always be cautious, always be reality, always about protecting the family. And when a woman wanted to, obviously when they share social media, whatever, and houses to houses, car to car, or fame to fame, whatever, and you're all playing debt money, because in their country, debt money, there's a consequence that they use their family house or family land as a collateral or whatever, and anything goes wrong, they'll confiscate all of them. But in the Western world, if things goes wrong in your family, whatever, well, there's always the bank will confiscate it or whatever and sell it, and you gotta you gotta pay what's the remaining back again. But then again, it'll lead to divorces, and it's just gonna be very messy, and it's just set up to be failure. So that's why I said this freedom thing can be great, But when it gets too much out of hand, it's gone to the stage where, banks have to obey, and the government knows that. You can't pay it off in 40 or 50 years. My ex-partner says, oh, well, I'm going to pay $5,000 a month. And I'm like, okay, cool. You can do that when you're young, but you can't do that when you're old. And then once you pay it off, you're going to go through another challenge, another houses. And of course, our nesting is going to be like, small house to a big house. And when your kids grow up and fly away, then you're going to go back to a small house. There's just too much playing up and down yo-yo all the way through. So I just wanted to say the fact that I know I've been hearing a lot of my, I won't say co-workers, but like, workers who has shared this similarity issue that their wife is dying for them to buy this house, buy that car, buy this, buy, without realizing the biggest consequence that the bank can confiscate or this and that. And it's just, to them, it's like, it's the norm because everyone's doing it. I have to do it because I'm the sheep, whatever. And when you have like that, men cannot fail to protect. It's failure already. You already set up yourself a failure. And when you get to that stage of the freedom, it is very difficult to see how it is, because houses prices keep going up and up and up and up. Yeah, you can buy like 2, 3 or whatever, how many properties, but you have to know the maintenance, or also just the ongoing bills, and you got to pay taxes. Not like in the third world country, there's not much taxes, capital gain tax or whatever, but in the first world country, they're making it so difficult. And at the end, is it really worth it? Like, for example, my cousin who bought this property, a townhouse, 5 years ago, I believe on top of my head, it's around $750. Now it's like what, 800. At the peak, it would have sold $850. Okay, so I'm not here to try to say yes or no, whatever, but $850. Then you say to yourself, nowadays the market is not $850. She's selling it because of the interest rate is going to increase $2,500 per month on that particular house. So she had to sell whatever the price it is, to be honest, because it's either she doesn't sell it or the interest is going to kill her, the repayment. So it is that to be said, to see the whole thing, the notion. And I just looked at her and I'm like, I didn't want to say anything because, they made the decision, not me. I didn't make those decisions. I didn't pull the trigger for them to purchase those houses. Once upon a time, they bought the house because they wanted to establish a family and get closer to their parents, so the parents can easy to go through. And after 3-4 years later, then you got Corona, they changed their mind. They go to a very southeast suburb, a long way from the parents' house, more than an hour away, and establish that family. Because things can change over time. And when you allow women to be like that, it changes in all directions. You never please them. They're like a roller coaster, yo-yo. And it's very difficult. That's why I said many marriages and relationship falls because of this freedom. You can't say nothing about it. Because it's either you say, oh, my husband is this and that, blah, blah, blah. And it's just gone to the stage, it's very dysfunctional. And it's a very dysfunctional mindset.